Hi, I'm Matt, here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, Matt and I are taking a look at one of our favorite movies that we have put off doing a flashback review on for far too long. 1979's Alien. It stars Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, John Hurt, Ian Holm, Harry Dean Stanton, Veronica Cartwright, Yaphet Kotto, and Bolaji Badajo. It is directed by one of our favorite directors, Ridley Scott, who's made a lot of our other favorite films, including The Martian, American Gangster, Thelma and Louise, which we have a review of if you want to go check that out, Blade Runner, Raised by Wolves, which we also have a review of, so go check that out, and of course, Gladiator, which of course we have another review of. But before we get too far into our love of Alien, if you like this sort of video, make sure to give this video a like. It really helps us out. If you always want to see more, subscribe and ring the bell icon if you want to be notified of any of our new uploads.
Now, an alien, a commercial space tug, is headed back to Earth when a transmission forces the ship to change course. While investigating the signal on a moon, an alien creature gets into their spaceship and starts killing the crew members one by one. It had an $11 million budget and earned more than $106 million. Today, that's a $41 million budget and about $397 million in earnings. Now, initial reviews of this movie were very mixed among critics, but in the decades that followed its release, it has been almost universally praised, and many consider it to be one of the best science fiction horror films ever made. Alien has become a well-recognized franchise with multiple movies, crossovers with the Predator franchise, as well as comic books and video games, and has also inspired other movies and video game franchises as well. Randall, as you said, this is one of my favorite movies, just like yours. I'll let you get the first go at it. What makes Alien such a great film?
I love slow burn movies that have payoff. I love character driven movies, if anyone that's been watching our channel long enough knows. Alien happens to do both of those really, really well and adds in this amazing environment. Ridley Scott does such a good job with environments. You look at the Nostromo and it's this old commercial tug, and you feel it and you can see it that this old commercial tug. Alien has some of those components that which I covet in almost any film that I watch. Good characters, good burn, and great environment. It just hits all those spots perfectly. And just to add into it all, it's a sci-fi horror film. I love sci-fi. I'm a pretty good fan of horror. So what's not to love here, basically? Matt, why do you love Alien so much?
Yeah, for all the reasons that you mentioned, and we only have like 8 people in this cast. And even though I don't necessarily like all the characters, each character has an important role in this film. Cartwright's character is a little bit frustrating in this and stuff too, but her character has a very important purpose in this movie. It adds to the feel, and like you said, the atmosphere. That is probably one of the biggest things that I notice about this. Like, like the planet and everything, and then how we just have, that different, from the ship construction to like the alien and then like the alien ship and the inside and the whole feel on this. This has a really great atmosphere in this movie, and we get an iconic movie monster. The alien, just seeing it invokes emotion and stuff in this movie when you first see it and everything. Excellent film. Yes, this is one of those movies that checks off just about every box for me when it comes to a movie that I want to watch.
We have to talk about the alien. So many science fiction tropes have, either little gray men, or they do like the Star Trek route where it's basically just people with like prosthetics on their heads or their ears and stuff like that. No, Alien comes out and this creature really is Alien. It is so different. The xenomorph is so different from all of the pretty normal alien types that came before it. It was like nothing that had been seen really on screen. And obviously when we saw it, the movie had already been out like for a decade and a half, before we got to the point where we were even thinking about watching it. And it's still up to that point. It's just like, here's the alien, the thing, and the predator, and they're just these very different types of aliens. But of all of them, the xenomorph still just sticks out in your mind. It's just an iconic design.
I love it. It's great. I mean, there's elements of these alien creature that, from like the tail to like, the inner mouth thing or whatever, that just kind of add to this alien feel. I mean, I can't think of a better, word to describe it. It is alien to us in every sense of the word.
And you take that thing, and it's so far and so different and so weird and out there, and you put it in this very confined, almost claustrophobic starship. You got to remember back then, and I use the term slow burn, the alien doesn't even show up until like 45 minutes in. 45 minutes into this 2-hour movie, the alien doesn't show up. But anyways, that claustrophobic environment that we set up and these characters that we set up all work so well together to try and combat something that none of them ever expected to see. And of course, it wouldn't be a textbook Ridley Scott thing if there wasn't a little bit of subterfuge going on.
And it's interesting too. I think a lot of people coming from the outside that don't know much about like Alien from like personal experience watching the movie, but at least Alien's so big in like pop culture, they know like, all right, Sigourney Weaver character, Ripley, like she's the main character, right? We don't really establish her as like the main character, at least from my feel, until like near the end of the film, the last little part of it. I feel that this movie does a good job of just like, here's all the characters, and all the characters play like their roles. And it's the events and circumstances that generate who our, main character is as the film goes on. I think a lot of times in like horror films, like even when we have, like, the norm, like kids go out into, out camping in the woods and stuff, we still establish like, hey, here's this one character that you're supposed to, sympathize with or whatever. This is going to be our main character. This is the person that we're going to want to survive through the film. I don't think Alien does that at all. It's like, here's all the characters and stuff, and it's not as the movie progresses that we really develop, Ripley into like that character that we're rooting for, to survive.
Yeah, and in all honesty, when you're just watching this through the very first time, you have no idea that it's going to be Ripley at the end. It's just as the alien goes and it starts picking off each of these characters one by one, and then you're left with like these final three. Even at that point, you really don't know how it's going to go down. You might have some inkling that, we're probably going to, horror story it and have the final girl kind of thing, but you're not led to believe that early on, that you need to empathize with Ripley's character and you need to know that she's going to be the one who makes it. Yes, the story does a very good job of setting up its ending and making you then care about what's happening to this character. Because if they would have just listened to her, they would have quarantined John Hurt's character and none of this would have happened.
Listen to me. If we break quarantine, we could all die.
Also, a character, I mentioned, was talking a little about at the beginning, talking about, Lambert or whatever, Cartwright's character and stuff too. Oh my goodness, like watching it, it's just like a lot of times she's just like, she's just like yelling or whatever and, on the verge of like tears all the time. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, like as a character, like watching this, it just, for me, wasn't like a really enjoyable character. But even that has like so much meaning. It adds to the feel of that movie. It's trying to give you, different perspectives, different people, and it's trying to add that feels of like uneasiness and kind of like tension and, the character. So, I don't want to take anything away from Cartwright. I'm not saying that she did a bad job at this and made a character that I don't like or whatever. It works so well with the movie. She played the role well.
Not every character is going to be a person who is going to elevate themselves to the situation, to the scenario. Not every character is going to be Ripley. That's why Ripley's character is so well known. Not every character is going to be that gung-ho, do everything character like Dallas, which is Tom Skerritt's character. Her character is the everyday person. for lack of a better term, that is not okay with the situation, is not okay with the scenario. She's fine when everything's going fine, but as soon as things start going bad, she's just not prepared for it.
And I love that each character gives us like a kind of like a different feel or whatever. Hurt's characters kind of like that go for like, oh, let's not go back. Let's investigate this ship.
Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on. We have to go on.
I think it's, no accident that we see, Hurt's character being the first one out of the pods at the beginning of the movie. And he's also the first character that experiences, the alien in this film or whatever with, the face hugger and stuff. I don't think that was a coincidence or whatever. I'm pretty sure Ridley Scott meant for that to happen, to show up that way. That just shows his character. And heck, with Parker and stuff, man, another great character, completely different. Always looking for that jab like, hey, is that bonus going to go up?
And what about the money? If you want to give me some money to do, I'd be happy to. Oblige.
Man's right.
Let's go with the bonus situation. We never
Can we just
talk about the bonus.
I absolutely love the scene. Like it's famous in my mind, where they're in the hallway talking to Ripley and they got everything going on, and then Ripley leaves and they just like turn the valve. It was all a show. It was all an act. It's famous in my mind. I doubt it's actually a very famous scene in the movie retrospectively, but I like it for the parts that you're pointing out about Parker's character.
Yep, very well done. And also, I also want to talk a bit about like Ash and the big reveal that we have from Ash. I mean, we know throughout the film that Ash has other like kind of motives going on. He's definitely keeping stuff, from Ripley and even possibly from Dallas. Though it's kind of interesting to wonder if, what Dallas knew, because he had access to Mother and stuff. But yes, with Ash, the big reveal that he's actually, a robot or whatever, for someone who doesn't know Alien, doesn't know like androids in Alien, I mean, it's kind of like those big moments like, whoa, where did this come from kind of thing. But just adds, to that movie. And it's another one of those elements where, having a second viewing of it, you kind of look at the film a different way.
Yeah, because if you're just watching it for the first time, when Ash like starts malfunctioning and freaking out, you're like, I have no idea what's going on. If you have no context at all of how androids function in the alien universe, that's a freaking creepy scene, man. When he just starts flailing himself all over the place and starts spouting out like milk substance and everything, that's messed up. And then obviously with the whole like trying to murder Ripley bit,
That's another thing I didn't really notice it before. Like, Ash is drinking milk and it's because he's an android, but how movies go. If character drinks milk, they gotta be bad.
Because no normal human being would ever drink milk, right?
Just not natural. It's just not natural.
Oh, man. Like you said, upon second viewing, you can pick up so much more of Alien. Second, third, fourth, fifth, 17th, 20th for us, whatever it is. of all these little hints and nods and everything about Ash's character. There's a scene between, Dallas and Ripley where they're talking about how much they don't trust him. Because, we've shipped out with this other doctor how many times, basically. And now, last second, the company puts Ash in here. Well, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, there's a reason.
And it's amazing that never clicked with me. Like, and honestly, guys, I've watched this movie so many times, but I always kind of thought, like, oh, the ship of, Nostromo just got this, received this transmission or whatever you want to say, this warning message that we later find out, and went and check it out, not realizing that in the subcontext or whatever is actually that Wayland knew about this beforehand and basically switched Ash in so that Ash would be there to help escort this alien back to Earth kind of thing so it could be studied. I don't know why it's something I didn't pick up on until, like you said, a billionth watch or whatever of this movie.
But it's something that you would probably never pick up on if you were watching it the first time. That's the thing about movies. Sometimes when you're like us and you've seen these movies so many times, you're like, aha, I know that, and I know this is coming, and that's obvious to me. But put yourself in the shoes of a first-time viewer of a movie like Alien, and there's so much going on. Unless you're really, really on point, you might say, well, yeah, I wouldn't trust this guy that, is we've never really shipped out with before. Haha, obviously. But knowing what the Alien universe becomes and all the movies that come after it and the storyline for the Weyland-Yutani company, it's like, oh my god. Wow. That was really well thought through by the writers and directors of this movie.
And now I'm thinking about it even more. I think Dallas probably was in the dark on a lot of things, because otherwise he probably wouldn't have made the statements about, shooting the alien out of the airlock and stuff. Because I think if he really knew, probably would know that Ash would kind of focus him to like get him out of the way if Dallas is the biggest threat to the alien being. So I don't know. Maybe there's other things going on. I think there's so much about this film that you can just kind of like think about and theorize about and fan theory about, or find different based on perspective different meanings to each thing.
I mean, to be fair, Dallas did get hugged by the alien. There's the hug scene. Hug me. His character definitely does not know. He knows that he's being ordered and he has no choice but to follow the orders or forfeit all of their stakes, basically. He's like, no, if we don't do this, we have to do what they tell us, because if we don't, we forfeit our stakes. And that just drives Parker nuts, Ah, darn it.
I will tell you one thing, I guess, if I have to look for kind of like a negative or nitpick thing about it, and it's kind of like, well, things have to happen in movies, it's movie magic kind of thing. I guess if there's one thing that's kind of, when I watch this movie, it's like, it's how quickly, like, the alien grows. Like, we go from, like, this little being, scurrying out of, around the table or off the table and out and stuff.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling.
Yeah, Spaceballs!
Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire.
Sorry. Continue. Sorry.
What's amazing how this small creature, after like shedding its skin and stuff, becomes like, human size or very large human size form kind of thing. It's a movie and it's an alien. Aliens can do whatever. But if it's one of those things where you just gotta like, kind of put your mind off. I guess if there's one nitpicky thing, that's the one thing that kind of gets me is like, wow, that was a fast transformation.
It really was, especially considering it's not like there was a whole bunch of like death at the time. It's not like it's getting bigger as it eats individual crew members. But Ash points out, like, if there's like a canonical reason for it, he says it's a perfect being, it's a perfect weapon.
I admire its purity.
So the biology of it is such that it gets that big because that's part of it being this perfect weapon, even though it's unrealistic. But yeah, again, Alien.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, and that's why it's like a nitpicky thing. Like, this movie could do whatever it really wants. It's an Alien kind of thing. But yeah, that's always the one thing I'm always looking at. Like, all right, we get this skin that we see at the bottom, and then, oh no, next thing we got this, big creature in my face.
But warts and all, the long story short about Alien for me is that they just don't make movies like this very much anymore. Too often, we have to get into things fast. And it's the same with all of the Alien sequels, or prequels, I should say, not necessarily sequels, because Aliens is one of the best sequels ever. But the prequels, like Prometheus and Alien Covenant, it's like, all right, let's just try and recapture that magic. It's like, you can't, That's lightning in a bottle type magic. They don't make movies like this anymore because the studios are like, we don't have time to concentrate on the characters. We don't have time to concentrate on all of these environmental things. We just need to get into the action. We need to get into the horror. We need to get into the alien being an alien. This movie wasn't concerned with that. It was concerned with telling a good story. That's why it works.
Yes, I love this movie. That slow burn, the development through, a lot went into making this film, and it really shows. And like I said, from all the elements, including, humor and, different feels of the tension, the atmosphere, the acting, the special effects and stuff. This is one of those movies that does check off every box for me. I absolutely love this movie, and I recommend anyone check out Alien.
Couldn't agree more. But we're always interested to know what your memories are of Alien, or if you have recently seen it, if you're one of our younger viewers, definitely let us know down in the comments your feelings about the film. We are super interested to know that. Don't forget to check out our channel. We have other flashback movie reviews, we have new movie reviews, we have longer form discussions, and of course, the occasional TV series review as well.
Also, be sure to check out our Facebook page. We put lots of different posts there, including we post a day before our reviews come out to let you know what the topic of our next review is going to be. To put us on our calendar, our YouTube reviews come out every Monday and Thursday. For now, I'm Matt, here in Michigan. Have a good day.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. I'll see everyone next time.
Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.